Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Ryan Rompa, your Smart Mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
This is the Kayfabe Smark Podcast. If you are listening to this live on YouTube as we're recording this, this is November 19th. You're getting that audio version here on Spotify or iTunes. It is the 20th. This is episode 26. We're going to talk AEW. We're going to talk Survivor Series. But first off, we're going to talk with Mr. Eric Todd, talking wrestling with me as always. Eric, what is happening?
Oh, you know, Brian. Same old. Just kicked my printer halfway across the room. It wanted to spit paper jams at me and take the paper jam out, put a new ink cartridge in, still prints like shit, and now I doubt it'll ever work again because it's in about 42 pieces.
Had a little Office Space moment with it, did you? Did you drop the boot on it and a nice wooden bat?
Yeah, no printer's going to tell me what to do.
No printer tell me what to do. Once again, guys, make sure you head on over to the Kayfabe Smark on all social media outlets. Instagram, been hitting those reels up the last week. Make sure you hit up Facebook. Where else are we going? YouTube. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Get over there. We put the whole show up. Working on clips as well. Getting those going on the YouTube platform. Been posting a little over on TikTok. Looks like things are going to keep running over there as smooth as they ever were. So throw some stuff over there. Hang out with us. Grab a platform. Your choosing. We're going to post stuff all over the place. And make sure you go over to, what was it again? What was the Amazon plug? I done forgot. audibletrials.com/thekayfabesmark. That's where you get your free.
There we go.
That's where you get your free audio book, 30-day free trial. Hot on the spot, working without a net. Forgot the dang plug. Anchor.fm/thekayfabesmark. Hang out over there. Send a voicemail. Get some questions going. Support the show. All right. I think we're just going to dive in and talk AEW. Start off with that.
AEW, we got a debut of a new team, hot off the independent circus.
Independent
being Top Flight.
Now, was that a Freudian slip, or did you say that on purpose, or where are we at here?
What'd I say?
It sounded like you said the independent circus.
Oh,
so, I didn't know if you were teasing.
That must have been a Freudian slip because it is a goddamn circus out there. Just clowns and trapeze artists galore over on All Friends Wrestling.
That was funny. Well, let's talk about Top Flight. What was your thoughts about the first tag team defense being this essentially no-name independent team?
Well, the Young Bucks found them, and the Young Bucks are promoting them, so of course they have an interest in them. Who knows? They're probably their manager behind the scenes too, so... the Young Bucks are obviously invested in them, like I just said. So it doesn't surprise me.
I didn't think that was a bad one. I'm just glad they didn't put it on a pay-per-view. Throw it on free TV, essentially, and get your match out of it and put some kids on the map, and there you go.
Right. I was just trying to delve a little deeper and see what the Young Bucks are gaining out of this. I don't think they're just, we're just going to put any old team on the map. I think maybe there's something in the future with these guys. But either way, no matter why they booked them or for whatever reason, I liked them.
You liked them?
I like Top Flight. Yeah.
Wow. What did you like about Top Flight? Because I was not prepared for that. My hat, I got a hat on so my wig didn't flip, and got my beard holding onto my hair here so it didn't flip off. So I'm surprised Eric liked Top Flight. What is up with that?
From the get-go, I didn't think I was gonna like them because they're inspired by the Young Bucks and Motor City Machine Guns. That's their two heaviest inspirations. But once they got in the ring and were working with the Young Bucks, they're, dare I say it, better than the Young Bucks. At the tender's age of 19 and 21 years old, they can do all the same flippity-dippity shit as the Young Bucks, even smoother in my opinion, and Brian Rompa, they know how to use ring psychology. They know how to sell. I've never seen Buck Hogan sell like either one of these guys, man. So If these guys are only 19 and 21, the sky's the limit for them.
I wasn't mad at them either. I just did not expect you to like them. I just thought you were going to see two of the exact same teams in the ring doing the exact same thing. So that's why I'm shaking here. I'm a little off my game because
No, you watch them close a little bit, and you can tell they actually have formal training. And a little tidbit does get dropped throughout the match. They were trained by Ken Anderson and Molly Holly. So even though they were inspired by Motor City Machine Guns and the Young Bucks, so they want to do the trapeze act, their fundamentals are nailed down because they are trained by two of the best veterans out there.
Now, I'm just glad that the match was not taken as, we'll use, for example, the Orange Cassidy. It was not Orange Cassidyized, meaning the Jericho Orange Cassidy match where it was a guy was taken to a level and displayed on a level that should not be on that level. You know what I'm saying? I think that they were treated as and handled in the ring as, greenhorns. I don't think it was, it wasn't these. They weren't put on there as main event stars already. They got a title shot, and they got to go on. But I don't think they were made to look super amazing either.
Precisely. The executive vice presidents treated them like greenhorns or young boys, if you will. But it's the little things. What was it? I'm sorry, because my printer's a piece of shit. I'm reading my notes off my phone, so it's gonna be a little. It's gonna be a little spotty, but they sold this super kick by Bald Buck like it murdered him, like it knocked his head off.
Bald Buck.
So that was a clear definition in this match. You could just tell by their selling that they were the baby faces and the Young Bucks were the heels, because they were doing that sympathy shit where they were just loopy and their eyes would be crossed and they would just fall over and be dead, and just made you feel bad for them. But it did come across, just as you said, the veterans stretching, if you will, or kind of just taking it to the young boys here.
Yeah, there's a couple close calls, but you had to make a match out of it. I'm not, I can give you that. You just can't. When Jericho, we've talked about it, to the ends of the earth, but just what Jericho and they did with Orange Cassidy to make him look like what he's not ready to be yet. They didn't do that here, and I'm happy to not see that. So that was.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy, when they haven't done it as of late, they've been kind of sticking him in the mid card where he belongs. But for a while they were making him look like he was going to be the top star of AEW. But these guys came in there. They got to showcase their talent, and I hope they're around for a while. I don't know if you noticed the Spanish Fly that one of them did in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Shit was as smooth as butter, man. So
the Spanish Fly, I've always complained about the Spanish Fly because I never know who it hurts, but I think it looks better. I've always seen it off the top rope, and this was in the middle of the ring. It was a little different, and I dug it.
Yeah, it was super smooth, wasn't clunky at all. They had one spot where they tried to get a little too fancy, and all four of them were involved in some spot in the corner, and it was just clunky, put together, choreographed looking, but hell, these guys are young. You cut them a little bit of a break.
And then I think what happened at the end really kind of put them in the place of where they need to earn their way up with the run-in with what's the name of that tag team? Now I'm having a brain fart here. Angelico and oh god dang it! Now where'd my notes go, Eric Todd? But anyways, the run in there, those guys beat them up. E3 or what do they call that tag team? Do you remember?
I don't know. I have no interest in that tag team, so I haven't even learned their name.
Yeah, well, as you can tell, I didn't either. But nonetheless, I thought that Jack Evans and Angelico, they beat them up, and I forget I didn't even write the name down. But nonetheless, it was a lower card tag team, and I think that's going to kind of give them a place to work up from. Now, granted, they got to come in at the top.
Right.
They're going to have to, kind of get their chops back and earn their way back up the ladder, if you will. So I enjoyed them. I think they'll be all right. They fit in AEW.
Yeah. They're like a more polished version of Private Party, I guess. Private Party's still super goofy. These guys just seem like high-flying trained wrestlers.
Wrestlers. Well, I was happy with the match. I enjoyed it, and I'm as surprised to hear that Eric Todd enjoyed it. So we shall continue on.
I enjoyed a Young Bucks match.
You crazy bastard.
Just to wrap it up, the Young Bucks ended up winning with the BT trigger as expected.
Well, it is their go-to move right now. I liked how the young kids were kind of watching the quote veterans and turning over some of the moves. So when they were going for the Meltzer driver, or they were going for their combo moves, they were rolling and reversing and moving through the match. So I was digging that. They had to go for the new finish. Get the BTE trigger.
Yeah.
And that
it was smooth.
Knocked them silly, and 1, 2, 3, there we go. And then what are we moving on to next here?
We get the first part of the Vegas segment with the new members of the Inner Circle, Wardlow and MJF.
Yes.
MJF with the all expenses paid trip to Las Vegas, and he's still digging at Sammy, just taking those subtle little pokes.
Takes the blackjack cards, steals his blackjack.
Yeah, switches Sammy out with the terrible bad acting of Sammy whispering to Jericho, "I've got blackjack," and he's got like a 6 and a 7 or something. But it is what it is.
What did you think? Well, we'll break this down as it rolls out, because we get this in vignettes over the course of the night. But what did you think of the whole Vegas MJF deal together? If you were to put it together in a little story. With the Inner Circle MJF Vegas trip. Did you like it or did you hate it?
I hated it because it was God, what was that movie that was super hot in like 2008? The Hangover.
Yeah.
So it was like a bad Hangover ripoff, and the comedy in it was just bad sketch comedy. Just cheap, not funny, just roll your eyes type of comedy. So I don't know who put it together, but it was a waste of time. It shouldn't even been done.
Not at all. Not anywhere. Just never done.
No, I think it was just a way to get a trip to Vegas. I don't know, on the con dime.
I wasn't even sure if they were in Vegas in the beginning, because it was, the way the casino looked when they were playing blackjack, like there's not a soul in there, and I don't know. It just seemed staged, but then they were outside in Vegas, so I don't know, whatever. I was up and down on the whole thing. We move on from that. Is there anything in there you want to talk about?
Well, Mox dropped some big news on us.
No, I mean, okay, I didn't know. I mean, anything in this Vegas bullshit if you wanted to talk about before we move on.
No, not right now.
Happened.
Later on in the notes, I do.
All right, we'll move on.
But,
yes, John Moxley, go ahead.
John Moxley. Looks like he's sitting on a toilet in an abandoned warehouse this time. So that's
poor bastard.
That's what we're gonna assume. He must have got the bubble guts when he was out there breaking down walls in a warehouse, and he blah blah blahs and cuts his promo. But he subtly drops in there that Renee Young is prego.
Yeah,
she is with child.
With child, and they're gonna have that child evidently in an abandoned warehouse.
Or at a junkyard, or at a construction site.
Yeah.
Or in a broom closet, wherever Moxley decides the maternity ward's going to be.
But never backstage, at least.
No, never.
And then, was there anything else we got going on in here? He also reviews Moxley claims best wrestler in the world. All right, so there you are, hyping up to this for the contract signing and the match leading up to Winter is Coming, January, whatever it is, for Kenny Omega, John Moxley. Orange Cassidy takes on Kip Sabre in the next match.
Right in the middle of the card, right where he belongs.
Both of them, right?
Yeah, both of them. And just Do you think I like this match? I surprised you with the first match of the night. Do you think I like this one?
Actually, I mean, because you hate Orange Cassidy, I want to say instinctively no, you didn't like it. But I'm gonna say I enjoyed it, and I thought it was in a decent spot on the card. And we'll go from there. What did you think?
I think this just showed off more of Orange Cassidy's bullshit comedy that he tries to do, and it showed off his lack of skills. First, he makes it his entire goal in this match. It isn't to win the match.
No.
It isn't to beat up Kip Sabre.
No.
His entire goal of this match is to get his hands into his pockets.
Correct. Now, in my defense of when I said that that I like this match, or I like the placement of the match, it just fit for both guys where they're at, in my opinion, for where they should be, and it told more of a story that's leading on to other things. Now, the match itself, if you're just to boil this down and watch this with no context and go, match, it was a turd sandwich. But if you put the context on the back end and the front end of this match on what they're building towards and what they're working towards, and they got Miro on commentary, you got the best friends and all this stuff, you kind of put that together, the whole thing as a package was enjoyable for me. That's where I'm at on that. Continue on.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the point of this match was, and I just kind of pieced it together that it's just Cassidy's from Team Best Friends and Kip is from Team Video Game. So that's about all I got. But the whole point of every chance he got, Cassidy's just trying to put his hands in his pockets like it's his superpower. That annoyed the piss out of me. Cassidy's punching is atrocious. He's got the weakest, shittiest, fakest looking punches I've ever seen out of anybody, and that's including girl wrestlers.
Including the girl wrestlers. Now, what I hated was, we'll get towards it as we work towards the end here, but they're trying to put him over as a submission guy with this mousetrap move, and boy, that thing is a turd sandwich.
He needs to, if he's going to use that thing, which I think he should go with the quote, if you can't do it, don't fucking do it. But
who quoted that?
I believe that was Dusty Rhodes.
If you can't do it, don't fucking do it.
Then don't do it.
No, there you go.
But he is terrible at that mousetrap.
It just takes forever.
It's ugly, clunky, and it takes forever. I'm sure somebody with some actual skill could do it. But
yeah. And then this Miro on commentary, where you at on him?
I get it. They're trying to get a little more personality out of him, but I think because English is a second language, it just doesn't come off well. It doesn't come across the TV screen or out of the speakers as something I enjoyed. It was just kind of like, Miro's talking.
Miro's talking and taunting his young boy.
And Sabian wasn't really selling for shit. The only time he sold good was when Cassidy was out on the apron and he kept grabbing Kip Sabian at a full arm's length, grabbing him by the back of the head, which is terrible for force there to get to hit Kip Sabian's face against those turnbuckle pads.
Yes.
He gingerly, barely slammed his head into those turnbuckle pads maybe 3 times, and Sabian was selling like he had brain cancer. And it was just like, come on, why? We already know they're soft. They're soft, fluffy little pillows on those turnbuckles, and he's barely touching his face to him. So it's just like, out of everything, out of all the bullshit moves that Cassidy's doing, this is what Kip Sabian decides he's going to sell on, the fluffy pillow fights.
What did you think about Kip not really selling and going for so much of the Orange Cassidy bullshit with the hands in the pockets? He was breaking a lot of that up and keeping it at a minimum almost.
I think it was.
Or do you think that was more to sell the fact of him trying to get his superpower and Hulk up with his hands in his pockets?
That's exactly what I think it was. I think that was just part of the gimmick. It was like, my superpowers are putting my hands in my pockets, and you have to try your best to keep me from achieving said goal.
Right. In the beginning, I was under the assumption that they were almost going on an opposite way of him and not selling that so much. Not selling the hands in the pockets bullshit. People are getting wise to the game, blah, blah, blah. They're taking it out. But then it happened so many times that I was like, man, they're not doing that. They're just putting him in a Hulk Hogan spot. Like, this is his Hulk up. This is his on his knees, pumping his fist. He's going to wag the finger in his face. Like, that was cool in the 80s and the 90s. But not, but Hogan, like, used adrenaline. He didn't put his hands in his trunks. And
Right. That's the thing with Hogan, is he shook and he just got angry and he got fired up and his adrenaline got pumping and he just started going ham. Cassidy, his superpower is when he slides his hands into his pockets, he just starts running around and doing drop kicks and coffin drops and shit. Like,
I like the hands in the pockets gimmick when they were proving that he was like bored with wrestling, that it was too easy for him.
I can get it there, which did wear off, still wore off quick, seeing it every week.
but at least there was an attitude.
Changing it to a Hulk up was ridiculous.
At least there was an attitude to it with the I'm bored, I'll just put my hands in my pockets and I can do this with my eyes closed and yawning and not paying attention. But this match was, I'm just glad they kind of got Orange Cassidy in the middle here. I'm hoping to see Kip Sabre actually work his way up the card, but we shall continue because he lost. Orange Cassidy gets the W with a orange hook, as they're calling it, or the mouse trap. I don't know.
Yeah, the sloppy mouse trap is how I got this one ending. And then Miro comes in, takes his headphones off, comes off the commentary booth, comes in and just absolutely wrecks Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, turn the orange inside out. And then you get the best friends about 4 seconds too late right behind him.
Yep, best friends make the save.
Yeah, and that's it. That was, I don't know. I'm up and down. I didn't mind it. I just give it like a 5. It just existed in my brain. If I'm going to rate something on a scale, it just was, it happened. I wasn't mad at it. I didn't necessarily want to fast forward it. But I didn't want to record it and go watch it again this morning either.
Right. It's something that's just going to be like, it happened and we'll never talk about it again because it
and that's about
it didn't do anything.
Nope.
It didn't advance the story any way whatsoever, in my opinion.
No. And then they go to commercial and we get Tony Schiavone in the ring getting ready for that contract signing.
Yeah, Kenny Omega, he got the WrestleMania entrance for a goddamn contract signing. It's like, Christ almighty.
They are putting this to the nth degree on overdoing it, I think. And what is the North Carolina thing? We got to get Michael back on here from AEW News 1_ there. Give him a little plug. Free plug on the show, Michael. And ask him what the hell is this Kenny Omega from North Carolina? Like, he's not even, or he's wrestled in North Carolina, or he's driven through it once. He stopped at a Cracker Barrel. Like, every time they're pushing that North Carolina shit.
I'm surprised we didn't ask last week.
I can't believe that I'm kicking myself. I'm going to have him just come back on the show just to talk about that. Do a whole segment. He can school us on it. But, so he gets this grand intro. He comes out. He's wearing a nice suit, looking different than Kenny's ever looked. And kind of sporting this, like, real cocky style, this new attitude, this new swagger in his walk and his look and his face. So, but then we don't get no Jon Moxley.
No, we get cameramen running to the back to get the shot in the back of the house there, and Moxley is laid out with blood coming out of his nose.
Laid out and some the I don't even know if it was bad acting. It was just a doctor talking. And like, they had a legit doctor talking, so I don't want to say it was bad acting. It was just a doctor talking in the back, and they were tending to him in his needs, and they needed to get him out into the hospital. And then that was a wrap on that. Kenny signs the paperwork, jots down a lot of stuff for the name Kenny Omega. It looked about 3 lines, and it looked like he drew a smiley face on the paper.
Well, first he couldn't figure out how the damn pen worked.
Oh, yes.
So not only did we get the what the hell is going on with Moxley back there, it's just like, okay, whatever. Like, this has been done a million times. You just showed someone knocked out and you don't show any of the action, so it's just fake. He just laid down for the camera. And then we just waste even more time because Kenny Omega can't figure out how the fucking ink pen works on live TV.
He's got to do the scribble on the piece of the paper in the corner, and then he starts to write it. Just do it. Like, it doesn't just...
Yeah, nobody can see it anyway. Just act like you signed it.
And then I like how, like, AEW... So the AEW contract for TV was like 3 pages. Stapled together, there's a whole thing. And the WWE contracts, at least finally in the era of just like, it's just a bullshit, like, staged gimmick, we get it. It just has Raw, and then it just says Championship, and then Randy Orton, and then Edge, or whoever it is. It's just sign. Well, Edge isn't his real name, so he can't sign a contract as Edge. Like, Kenny Omega is not his real name. He can't sign a contract as Kenny Omega. That contract was null and void and will not hold up in courts.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. He couldn't find the right page. He couldn't get the pen to work. He decided to write a novel on it instead of just writing his stupid name. And I think that was a whole waste of time too.
All he had to do was grab it, do this. He should have put it on like Shivani's back and then just crumpled it up and like shoved it into his chest, did like that move, like kind of.
Yeah, if Omega wants to be a heel now, that's the kind of shit he should be doing.
And then just boom, because then you didn't have to sign it, just write it and pop, 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 pop. But how does it? But here's the other part of it. They're like, can he sign the contract? Eric, I want to fight you, and we're going to fight for money. I'm going to sign a contract while essentially you're taking a nap backstage.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. What
do we have a match? Do we have a deal?
Accomplished? It doesn't accomplish a damn thing. Just like Cassidy and Sabian, this contract signing accomplished nothing.
It showed that Kenny signed it and he's in. So now they still technically, if they want to make a deal out of this, have to show, I almost said Dean Ambrose, John Moxley sign it. Dean Moxley. And then it would make sense. Or they should have had him run backstage and fake it, like put it in his hand and make him like, you know what I'm saying, move the clipboard around. I don't know, do something. Get goofy.
So I was just say, is that the next step to this? They're gonna have Moxley in the hospital in a coma, and he can't sign it, so somebody signs it for him or uses his hand, and I don't know. It's sad, but I could see this happening in AEW. And then while he's still in a coma, it'll be a Falls Count Anywhere match. And Omega will just pen him in the hospital bed while he's in a coma.
Wow.
I'm calling it right now, folks. Meltzer's going to give it 7 stars.
That's a bold statement from Mr. Eric Todd. They're going to have a Coma Falls Anywhere match. All right. Well, that happened, and we don't know what happened, but it happened, and now we move on. We get part 2 of the Inner Circle, right?
Yeah, this is part 2 of the Vegas trip. And this is where I had my notes that this thing is nothing but just bad, childish comedy. And I don't understand what audience they're playing to, between the chickens in the lobby and the midget crying like a baby wearing diapers.
Hey, hold on now. That wasn't just a midget.
It wasn't?
That was Swoggle.
Oh, was that Swoggle?
At least that's what was being reported. Everyone. He was so
artist formerly known as Hornswoggle.
Yeah, Hornswoggle had a little appearance there. He's just, unemployed by the WWE. I think he's working with Impact, and now he did a little AEW sketch. So get your money there, Mr. Swoggle. But we continue on. Who else did we have? We had chickens, we had Hornswoggle, and then we had Elvis, right?
Yeah, we had Elvis, and then we had, I think his name's Piff, the Magic Dragon. He's been on Penn and Teller's.
He's been on
whatever their magic show is.
Been on that, and he was on America's Got Talent as well.
Yes. So we got that.
There was So hold on, before we get on with that, I thought you were gonna completely tear that part up because I was like, Eric's not gonna know who this Piff Dragon comedian magician magic guy is, and he's gonna be like, then they had a fucking guy in dragon pajamas on there, and it didn't make any. I was watching it last night, envisioning in my head you screaming about a guy in dragon pajamas, and then who are they going for in this bullshit? But you knew who he was, so it wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be.
I'm a foolish junkie. Penn and Teller's Fool Us.
Yes.
I've watched probably every episode, so I've seen Piff on there multiple times. I'm surprised AEW didn't make the comparison between him and Luchasaurus and try and connect them two. Now they'll be next tag team champions.
Yes.
Anything can happen in AEW.
We did have Conan.
Conan. Man, he looks rough.
Well, you get old. Yeah. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Technically, Jericho looks rough. He just never disappeared, so we just saw him evolve in front of our eyes.
That's true. You haven't seen Conan in forever.
And Conan, I don't believe, is doing too much ring work these days. He's just running AAA from the most part, what I understand. Even in his last stints in TNA back in the day, he was just managing that tag team in that group there. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. And then, so he's probably not staying in the most active of shape.
True that. He's got that Booker body. But
what did you think about the illusion, or not the illusion, I guess the illusion of the smoking marijuana?
Oh, yeah, that kind of caught my eye, and it just goes hand in hand with the stupid video games and Orange Cassidy character and shit like that. Implying that they smoke weed was nothing groundbreaking, I don't think. I think we all assume they do anyway.
Well, not that I wasn't more getting at that. I was more getting to the point of what did you think, like, actually AEW doing an adult-style theme? Like, they were drinking, smoking weed. They're in Vegas. They went to this, like, a kind of a strip club type thing for a second. So it was a little more adult-oriented than that little kid bullshit that you usually bitch about with the nonsense. So I didn't know how you were taking that kind of content they were dabbling with.
What's weird, though, is you mix that adult content, if you will, with the stupid comedy, like the chickens and the midget and Ortiz jazzercising or whatever the fuck he was doing.
I think he was supposed to be. I think he was just supposed to be hyped up on drugs.
Oh, okay. Oh, I missed that. Then
that's what I just took from
MJ's face.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sharpie of Sammy was here all over MJF's face, and it's just like it was just stupid, immature comedy. Yeah. And
I thought that there was, because he said, what'd Sammy say? Sammy goes, "At least I'm not soft," because it said, MJF is soft or something on his forehead.
Oh yeah.
I thought we were gonna get an Enzo Amore cameo, because I thought it was gonna say soft, SAWFT, and I thought he was gonna pop. He would have been a perfect guy to have pop out in Vegas, right? Soft, yeah. And just for a cameo there, but it didn't happen. I was disappointed.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago when the soft thing first came out between Chris Jericho and MJF. But unfortunately, Enzo would have made this. Enzo would have saved it. But man, this was just rough and dumb for me.
I was happy to see Conan. I hope that we could see Conan as a character in AEW. That'd be cool, but I don't think it's going to happen. And that happened, so not sure where we go from there.
Yeah, I guess we just hop right into the next match.
Yeah, let's go from there. I don't know what else to say on it. It's kind of where it left me. It just existed.
Oh, yeah, that's all we really got to say. It was just a dumb comedy sketch, and
it was better
with a lot of money pumped into it.
It was better than the song and dance steak dinner.
Yeah, I mean, shitting into a balloon and flying it over Alaska would be better than the song and dance number.
Shitting in a balloon. All right, so we get Pac taking on the Blade. With
yes, the bastard Pac is back.
Eddie Kingston on commentary.
This is Pac's first match since March 11th.
Did they ever get at what happened or where he was at, or did you look it up or anything? I haven't even seen anything across like the Instagram, internet, wrestling community world. I was just thinking COVID hung up his travels is all I'm just making up.
That's all I'm assuming. I didn't really look into it too deep. But, man, Pac stayed in shape. Whatever. He was hitting the gym wherever the hell he was.
Yeah, he was messing around. And Blade's in good shape, too. So this was like two dudes in, ready to go condition. They weren't messing around there.
I like Blade too, but what did you have any reason for these two to be fighting?
Because last week at the end when Pac made his debut again, and he wants Eddie Kingston. So Eddie's not going to give him Eddie Kingston. He gave him somebody from his family. So he's going to give him the Butcher. He's going to give him, he could have picked anybody, right? So he threw the Blade at him. They're going to hold off that Pac Eddie Kingston, for probably a pay-per-view or maybe that Winter is Coming Dynamite that they're pushing with the John Moxley. It's kind of a big moment, I would think. So they're just going to build up to it. He'll probably get the Butcher next week.
Right, and I thought Blade was a good match for him. Pac spent some time in WWE, so he's one of the most skilled people over on AEW now. And I've always liked Blade. Butcher and Blade, I've liked them since they came in. Their gimmick's a little goofy, but as performers and as tough guy ass-kicking, wrestlers, I think they do a good job. So I thought Blade matching up with Pac was a good match.
Yes. Here's where I'm at with the Butcher and the Blade. You don't have to literally be the gimmick name that you say you are.
Right.
And that's
you don't have to wear a butcher's apron.
Even you can wear the butcher's apron just because you're like a bat, just for but to literally pretend like they did those gimmicks before where they look like he's actually a butcher and he's like cutting meat and such. Like
Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Yeah, you don't have to be that guy. That was part of the problem with Kerry Von Erich is the Texas Tornado back in the 90s. He didn't know what to do with that name. He's was running around like he was actually a tornado. And what's his name? The Red Rooster. What was it? What was his name? Who did the Red Rooster gimmick?
Terry Taylor?
Taylor.
Yeah.
That he didn't get the gimmick. They were just calling him the Red Rooster. Well, they didn't mean you're actually a rooster. So he would walk out to the ring doing this fucking rooster. They wanted him to take.
He was like the gobbledygooker.
They wanted him to take it in the run Flair is the Nature Boy. You don't envision Ric Flair out there like fucking Snow White and all the birds landing on his fingers, and he talks to the squirrels because he's the Nature Boy. He's just the Nature Boy. It just means he's the motherfucking man. So he should have been the Red Rooster. He's the the cock of the walk, the big motherfucker in town. And that's the same thing.
That's what I assumed it was, but that motherfucker dyed a strip of his hair red, and he could bob his head when he walked like he was a chicken.
And he cock-a-doodle dude. So none of that made sense. So I tell that story and go back to all that to say the Butcher and the Blade, you say their gimmick's goofy. Their gimmick is just being badasses, and that's all it should be. Just call me the Butcher because I'll chop your arm off and beat you with it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to literally be a butcher.
Right.
And that part bugs me, and that's why I can agree with you right now. The gimmick is goofy. If they stop pretending like he's a butcher, and the Blade, and that's what they are. The Blade will cut your arm off, and the Butcher will beat you with it and eat it. Hey, cool. Just be fucking the ruthless motherfuckers in town and beat people up.
Take the off. Just make them Butcher and Blade.
Butcher and Blade.
Butcher's a badass nickname. Blade's a badass nickname.
Yeah, that was the guy from what's that show on Amazon Prime now? All this thinking right on the spot here, the superhero gimmick show. That was the guy's name was the Butcher. Was Butcher in that? That was his last name. I thought it was a badass name. They just called him Butcher.
Billy Butcher.
Billy Butcher from God dang it, I can't think of the name of the show, but we'll move on. Who gives a shit? Eddie Kingston on commentary. Back to this Pac Blade match. He was pretty funny. He was cracking me up. All his shots at Tony Schiavone for no apparent reason, or at least a story they haven't told yet that's unfolding. He's like, and I don't like you, Schiavone.
Yeah, well, Kingston's always gold on the mic. We can always count on him for that.
Yeah, I was digging that. His did you see his necklace he had on, that Joker pendant thing?
No, I didn't notice that.
They did a quick cut to it. He goes, check out the jewelry, and he holds it up, and it was like this decent-sized, couple-inch tall Joker pendant. It looked like the Joker from the recent Joker movie. That Joker.
Oh, nice.
It was pretty cool. But these two beat the hell out of each other. Pac stayed in great shape, as you already said. Hits him with that flying shooting star press. Hooks him up in that brutalizer. And that was a wrap on that match. But I didn't think these two were bad. I thought the match just went right. The ref they were out of the ring for the right amount of time. They were in the ring for more time. They didn't have 10,000 weapons and chairs, and they just had a wrestling match.
No, that's like you and I have discussed before. The less notes we have, usually the better the match is.
Yeah.
You just kind of sit back and enjoy it. And this was a legit match with two legit performers. And I liked it.
I liked it too. And then we get a little run in at the end because they won't because you get Eddie Kingston coming out, getting involved in the match, and then the Butcher and the Blade, and everybody's attacking in on Pac, and who comes out to save him but Rey Fenix.
Yeah, I don't know if we did the end of the match, but Pac ended up winning by submission.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when Butcher and the Blade and Eddie Kingston all gang up on Pac. Pac gets saved by Rey Fenix, and then Rey Fenix starts getting his ass beat.
Yeah, he dove right in, and then you get Penta El Cerro Dinero.
Yeah, whatever. Cerro Dinero, that's a good name. But
and then he comes out with a chair, and it was kind of one of those moments of, is he going to hit his brother? Is he going to hit Pac? Is he going to hit Eddie or Butcher and the Blade? And there he goes. He goes to swing on Eddie Kingston. And I was surprised. Well, I wasn't necessarily surprised by it, but, you were surprised by it as a wrestling fan, and as the commentators were surprised by it. So I thought that they should have got a good hit on him, though.
Yeah, they tend to do that.
There was no good betrayal.
Bring in the weapons and threaten with weapons, but there's no good shot with said weapon.
No good shot with said weapon. Then you get the revival of the Death Triangle. There's some Spanish way to say it, but I am not privy to that name as they were. But the Death Triangle, I believe they're doing the old triangle gimmick with the hands there. But I was kind of pre-sold that this was going to happen because Penta El Cerro Dinero came out with a beautiful-looking white hoodie on that was pretty dope, and I thought about adding it to a collection of mine. But that hoodie stated Lucha Bros.
Right.
If he's going to hit his brother, you wouldn't wear the name of your tag team.
Good point.
To me, I wouldn't wear my gimmick, right?
Right.
I don't know.
He would wear a penta shirt, or
Penta shirt or something along those lines, or well, he could have done the old NWO style and hit him, and then pulled it off and had a family shirt on or whatever they're calling the little stable that they have with Eddie Kingston and Butcher and Blade and such. But so it could have went that way, but I was a little I was already leaning towards he's gonna stick with his brother. And he did.
And that's what we got. And Lucha Bros back together again, which I'm not sure if they were ever officially separated.
I think they just beat the hell out of each other. I think they'll fight again. They could have the tag team championships and go into a singles match against each other. I just think this is the way they roll, but that's fine. It makes sense. It works for me and those guys. I like it. But we get the Death Triangle back together, and we'll see how this unfolds. Do you think it's just coincidence that me and you are both hot on Eddie Kingston and that his storylines are good and that's why that we're paying attention to it? Or do you think they're telling the story appropriately, or that Eddie Kingston is leading this, or they're all working together to tell the story appropriately? Because it's not just told. It kind of makes sense, the storyline. They don't just go and have these guys fighting for no reason. They come back. The Lucha Bros were in a tournament together. They had to fight each other. They did this. They did that. They just beat each other up. They're in. They're out. Eddie Kingston trying to split them up. It all just makes sense. It's just kind of
I don't know. I don't know who's writing it. If Tony Khan's doing this all himself, or if he's taking input from Kingston. But from the way Kingston talks, I know he's got a good head on his shoulders and a good thought process for wrestling. I think Eddie's putting this together and maybe trying his hand at a little bit of writing a show.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm thinking that it's going that way as well. I don't know. It just seems too good to be true that we're both hot on one guy and that he's telling us a well-to-do story. So I don't know. It's strange, but they're just not giving anything away. They make you want to go, what are they going to do with these guys next week? Where's this going?
Right. And then we go from the best talker in the game right now to the absolute worst talker in the game. We get a little more of Jade Cargill here.
That poor girl.
I think that's her name.
Yeah.
God, she is so awkward.
She's awkward. I mean, in AEW's defense, they took a girl that's never been on TV and handed her a microphone and said, be a character. I mean, she's got a look. There's no question about that.
Right.
You're not going to forget her by her looks, but her talking, you're definitely going to remember her for, though.
Well, that's where Tony Khan comes off as a mark. He just sees this girl with a look, and instead of, putting her on dark or
slowly building
up and having her practice with somebody who knows how to cut a promo, he just sees her and immediately wants to put her on TV. And now as of right now, that's all we're going to remember her for. Right. In this segment, they don't let her touch a microphone. They just have her do the chair arm break thing with Brandy Rhodes and just stand there and make stupid looks on her faces and her poses and same shit she did last week.
I thought this was better than it was last week. Last week's was a train wreck. At least this backstage quick gimmick. She does a big move. She, quote, breaks Brandy's arm, or she attempts to break Brandy's arm, and then she looks, and they can cut and move, and they can edit around it. You can't fake live TV. So it should have been more pre-recorded segments that they could have worked her talking into and had good edited, put together promos for her to be put out as somebody to mess with and who she is. Does she have a connection with Shaq? She should have been telling this story for Shaq to be involved in a match, but they're not telling that story. So then I go from complimenting AEW 100 times over on this Eddie Kingston, Pac, Blade, Butcher, Death Triangle nonsense to then them throwing this girl into live TV and saying, you're going to work with Cody Rhodes and Shaq's going to be in a match. Why? Why?
Exactly. Why?
Cody should have pushed her down, and then it should have been Shaq's niece in a kayfabe story. And then
right.
Shaq was there watching the show, and Cody hit at the pay-per-view. If Shaq was at the pay-per-view, Cody should have hit her somehow with a chair on accident, right? As he's going through the match or something, for the love of Pete, and then Shaq could have been involved and they could have worked the story out, but they haven't. It's just so
that's how bad the writing is on this show. You literally just pulled that storyline out of your ass.
Yeah, I just thought about it right now.
And it's better than what's on national TV right now.
Yeah, it's been a rough one, so not sure where this is going or why it's going there, but nonetheless, it's going. So we shall continue on with this. And then we move on to the NWA women's titles, Serena Deeb, Thunder Rosa. Did you watch this?
I watched it with my finger on the fast forward button.
Sure.
Doing a little tap dance on that. I did notice there's a lot of great mat wrestling going on between these two. They're both super talented. I don't know if they're signed to AEW because they're still NWA, if they got dual citizenship or what. But these two right here should be running a little class on the off days for AEW's women wrestlers, because these two put on a clinic as far as mat wrestling and submissions go.
Could probably throw some of the boys in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you get a Reba. Is it Reba, or she appears up at ringside there? Britt Baker's little sidekick.
Well, her wrestling name and the independent circus is Rebel. But I think the Reba thing kind of came as part of Britt Baker's bitchy gimmick.
Oh, just like getting the name wrong, not knowing how to say it.
Right.
There you go. Britt Baker, she hits a neck breaker on Rosa. She gets involved,
Yeah.
little run-in.
Apparently, there's a little bit of a Twitter beef in the kayfabe world going on between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. So that causes Britt to interfere in this match. Britt and Reba.
I missed that. It made sense either way for me, though. But that's like if you know it, it just kind of makes the colors a little brighter in the picture.
But as Reba's distracting, who's our favorite ref out there? The girl ref.
Oh, Aubrey Edwards?
Yeah. So you got Reba distracting Aubrey Edwards while Britt Baker gives Thunder Rosa a spinning net breaker out there on the ramp. And Deeb ends up power bombing Thunder Rosa after that. So Thunder Rosa takes a spinning net breaker on the entrance ramp. Serena Deeb power bombs her in the middle of the ring, 2 count. And then we move on to about 900 false finishes before Serena Deeb finally ends this match.
Yeah. I don't know what the NWA is getting out of this, that they still exist.
I don't know if they're running any shows. I haven't heard anything.
I know they were trying to kick off their pay-per-view thing, like TNA used to do back in the day. They were going to do like a weekly, $10 pay-per-view, or I don't even know if they call it pay-per-view anymore, but on Fight TV or somewhere, probably some cable providers as well, to try and get their show, not the YouTube show, but also a regular show. So they're trying to get that going. I know they're having a hard time with COVID and how to run it. They don't have they don't have billionaires behind them like AEW and WWE, that own football stadiums or have enough money to own their own performance centers to go ahead and record weekly shows and pay-per-views. So I think this just works for them to have a spot to get some wrestlers out there, and AEW's gladly to take them. I don't see why they wouldn't. It's a win for everybody, I guess, at some rate, but
well, yeah, it keeps a spotlight, or a little bit of a spotlight, on NWA, because let's face it, if there wasn't any NWA people in AEW, I would have forgot NWA was still a thing.
Unfortunately, because it was good. I was enjoying the YouTube show, The Power.
And then AEW's women's roster is so bad that bringing these two who actually know what they're doing kind of rises up the women's division a little bit, makes it a little more competitive.
Right, and we move on, and I'll tie that together with the next segment here. John Silver and Anna Jay backstage cutting a promo. John Silver, all hyped up on Diet Mountain Dew, as JR would say. And then Brody Lee has demanded that Anna Jay receives a shot at Hikirashita next week. Because she's won her last 5 matches. Last 5!
I'm starting to pay attention to John Silver a little more, thanks to Michael over at AEW News _1_. John Silver, man, he's
got a lot of character.
He does.
He's coming out
all
lately.
Hyped up. That Diet Mountain Dew has been hyping his ass up. I don't know if he's snorting it or what, or injecting it directly into his veins, but he is all hype. His arms are oddly short, but he had Anna Jay all hyped up. Anna Jay is pretty decent talent as far as AEW goes, and looks like she's getting a title shot.
There you go, whatever that's worth. That and 50 cents to get you a cup of coffee. Next week, Pac and Ray Phoenix against the Butcher and the Blade. So you get that going on for you. Will Hobbs in action, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. And I added the notes, stuff they were plugging for next week's show, which would be the night before Thanksgiving show.
Oh, my. Yeah, you are correct.
Oh, my.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my. Last match. Oh, wait, go ahead. I thought you were going to say.
I was just going to say our main event of the night is a tag team match. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage versus Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin.
Let's talk
initial thoughts on this match. What is with all this pussy ass good sportsmanship shit coming from AEW? The Young Bucks kick the shit out of Top Flight, and then they're hugging them and shaking their hands and saying, "Good job, guys." Darby Allin just beat Cody Rhodes and took that title off of him. And now Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin are teaming up and they're pals now. Why can't people just hate each other like they're supposed to?
Well, I'm not too mad at it. You know, you see that in real life. You see that in boxing. You see that in MMA. You see that in football. That you hate them for the moment. You're like, oh man, it's just business. I just need to beat you up to get paid. So, or I just needed to win to get paid. You know, in traditional sports, to me, what it signifies is that they're not doing anything else in a program with those two. It's like the white flag of surrender.
I guess I can see that, but I guess I'm thinking of a more entertainment aspect. This is a TV show, and rivalries and drama are what people get invested in. And it almost just seems like, you know, there's no heat between these guys.
No,
it's
but,
just,
so let's talk about the Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Cody Rhodes, Darby Allin. So Cody Rhodes, Darby Allin have their match at Full Gear. They beat each other up. Darby Allin steals a win, gets the title. Cody hands it over to him. He applauds him. But you still get a run-in from Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in that match. So now they're picking on the little guy. Cody's still there to be a face. So he helps the guy out. He's like, oh, that ain't cool. Just come in and beat this guy up. Two big guys, one giant guy, and then Ricky Starks beating up this little, quote, nerd, the geek, right? The guy that lives in his car. So he partners up with this guy and says, "Oh man, fuck that, it ain't cool." And then he tags up with him to go beat him up because they got jumped at Full Gear together. It comes together. At least it ties up somehow. It's not just like they fought, then they were buddies the next week. At least there was like that run-in. Now, if there wasn't that run-in to tie it together, then I'd be all on with you.
I mean, yeah, I guess it does run a little deeper with the babyface versus babyface matches that AEW tends to put on, and it's if that's going to be a thing that they do where it's not babyface heel, heel babyface, if they're going to do these heel versus heel matches and face versus face matches, I guess you can't create animosity with every match if that's your game plan.
It goes back to Lucha Bros. They beat the hell out of each other twice, 3 times in the last year. One time, pretty good last week, tearing each other's masks off, and then he comes out and says, No. I can beat up my brother. You can't beat up my brother.
God, that gives me nightmares of NXT, of that big hairy bastard in that Hornswoggle lookalike.
Well, then you get Taz on commentary in this. Darby and Starks are coming in and getting this thing started. And what'd you think of this match? Where you at?
Well, first we got to start out with Darby Allin's vignette.
Oh, of course. Of course.
We got Darby Allin in a church acting all gothic and moody and like the emo kid in high school. And he's lighting himself on fire. And this immediately put the thought in my head that Darby Allin is Mud Show Wrestling's version of Chris Angel. Just the, I'm so sad.
So dark.
Oh, yeah, I'm dark and mysterious. I'll light myself on fire for you. It's like, eat a dick. But, Brian Rampa, in the spirit of Chris Angel, the magician / illusionist, Darby Allin gives us the illusion that AEW can actually show a wrestling match, because that's what we got. We got an actual wrestling match here between the team of Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes versus Ricky Starks and Brian Cage.
Well, you've got 3.5 wrestlers in there. You got, let's face it, Ricky Starks, talent all the way.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
On all aspects of what makes a pro wrestler. You've got Brian Cage, who has the look.
Yeah, he's got the look down pack. He's green as pig shit, but
Cody Rhodes,
he's still young.
Cody Rhodes, who is a pro wrestler.
Right.
Through and through.
Classically trained. Yeah, all down the line.
And Darby Allin, who can move and wrestle, but is weird, or it just doesn't make sense. So you've got between you put them all together, you got about 3.5 guys out there. You take the green out of Darby and the green out of Bryan, and you got 2 in the middle there. You got more close to 3.
Right. And this is how a wrestling match should look. We start out with Darby Allin and Ricky Starks, and they're immediately with a nice collar and elbow tie up there, and just immediately get into some technical wrestling, and it was just smooth, fluid. They worked well together. I loved it.
Yeah, I just sat back and kind of watched this match. It was pretty good. Taz on commentary, he's always funny, so it makes me laugh there, because he'll either say something dumb, something funny, something you shouldn't say that's dumb and funny, like kind of put his foot in his mouth, so enjoy all aspects of that. Watching Starks and Cody, watching Starks and Darby was entertaining. Brian Cage, they all kind of meshed and did well together. And then there's just some good spots. You got anything else?
Well, yeah. One thing in particular that I noticed that I wanted to point out was how deep the thought process went into this, because Brian Cage is probably about the size of Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes put together. So Cody and Darby really worked well together to control the larger Brian Cage. A lot of tagging in and out, a lot of double team, a lot of good timing, just to sell the fact that Brian Cage is so much bigger than both of them, and that they're going to need their combined powers, if you will, to control such a large opponent.
With our powers combined, what I thought was pretty good. It seemed goofy at first, but after you kind of watch it unfold, it all made sense to me. Brian Cage goes for that. He grabs, I believe it's, I don't have my notes exactly down here where I'm going, but he grabbed, I think it was Darby, to go throw him into a belly-to-back suplex.
Right.
Darby holds on to Ricky Starks, and that son of a bitch belly-to-back suplexes both of them.
Yeah, that was my next note here.
Or the Cage German suplex, belly-to-back suplex, whatever you want to call it. And he throws him, and you're going, well, why did you just throw your partner? But what made sense of that is that you watch like Darby hook him, and he throws him, and then the best, and this is why Ricky Starks is the man, he reacted to the situation. Looked at Brian Cage like, what the hell was that about? And he's like, I don't know, man. I'm just a big farm boy. I pick things up, throw them. I didn't know you were even connected to them, because he, it didn't feel like two people. I just picked you guys up and threw you. So they told a little story in there real quick. Big guy made a mistake. Partner yelled at him. Other guy said sorry, and it all happened like that.
Yeah. There's so many different aspects that could be tied into that. You could almost tie it into Brian Cage. Even though he is in a team, he still looks out for number one. And he, in order to get that suplex on Darby, Ricky Starks had to be the sacrificial lamb there. He had to take the bump in order for the greater good, or to accomplish Brian Cage's goal.
That makes sense too. So I think it was just well done. Everything, just that little moment. It was 3 seconds, but it all makes sense. It just all kind of comes together. It kind of defines the whole match for me. So I don't know, man. Yeah. I dug it. You got your winners. They pull out it with a drill claw on Darby, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks.
Yeah, that was Brian Cage got that drill claw off the second rope.
Yes,
I think they actually you can always count on excrement to modify the names of moves. So if you do a drill claw in the middle of the ring, it's the drill claw. But if you do it off the second rope, it is the avalanche drill claw.
Oh, well, everything's got to have a name.
And I bet Brian Cage wishes he would have gave Tessa Blanchard avalanche drill claw, because if it, then he might have actually had a chance instead of losing clean to Tessa Blanchard.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Didn't see that one coming. And we're talking about the son of a bitch. Brian Cage lost to Tessa Blanchard. We got it in again. We get Team Taz coming out, attacking Darby and Cody after the match. Will Hobbs out to make the save. Everybody
Willie
clears-
Hobbs. Well, now I'm calling him Willie Hobbs, and JR doesn't even back me up. JR calls him Will Hobbs, that son of a bitch.
JR doesn't back me up. I thought we were homies, Jay. So then he grabs the FTW belt. He holds it up. I believe JR says, well, or Tony Schiavone, I think it was, I guess that can make him the FTW champion, meaning there is no FTW championship. The one who holds it is the one who's champion. And,
Yeah, it's
which
like
was kind of a cool.
24/7 belt, huh?
It was kind of a little cool twist in there, though. I don't know if they're planting a seed or if it was just spouting off at the mouth. And then he grabs that belt. He looks at it. Cody comes up behind him, puts an arm on his shoulder, and Willie Hobbs turns around and puts it right to his dome piece and knocks Cody on his ass. With
Yes,
an FTW
nice little double
belt.
cross there.
Joining
A bit early. I think it was a bit early to turn Willie Hobbs heel. Not too many people know who he is yet. I think he should have got a bigger following as a babyface to make the heel turn a little more dramatic, to piss off a little more people.
They could do this right. Now, if they do it right by telling a story with it, they could go in and say, let him cut a promo next week with Team Taz and saying, Cody, you did this to me. You did this to me. I tried to sign with you. I wanted to be part of the Nightmare family. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. You didn't return my calls. This is what you get. Then they can explain a little story. I think I should get a job. I mean, I think, Tony Khan can give me a shout. I've come up with 2 really good storylines in an Off the Dome podcast here. So, somebody email this off to Tony. Get him a time code here at the hour 11 mark. Brian comes up with a great story to do with Willie Hobbs. I can beat a Florida this weekend.
He's just going to send you the same quote he gave Jim Cornette. Nobody's booking my wrestling show but me.
Yeah, but see, I'll just do it for free. I don't care.
All right.
Corny wanted money, too. And we get a new member to, looks like Team Taz. No official, really, though. We just know he mollywopped Cody is all we really know.
Right. Who knows? He might be a Lone Ranger. He might.
Really wasn't much going on with the Team Taz thing. It wasn't like didn't seem like a big Team Taz celebration. It was just he mollywopped him.
Yep.
He could come out next week and mollywop Brian Cage with it too and be like, screw both of you.
Well, yeah, he could be the lone wolf, the new lone wolf since MJF lone wolf found his pack.
He found his pack, but that ain't gonna last. We know that. Well, we could do a whole podcast on MJF and the Inner Circle and just break down what is going to happen and what should happen. But that was your AEW this week. I didn't hate this episode of AEW's Dynamite. It may have sounded like it
terrible
when we pick it apart, but that's what you do. And but overall, I was entertained pretty good by this episode. As goofy as the Las Vegas stuff was, I found entertainment and humor in it. It wasn't wrestling. It was entertainment and humor. It was cheesy, bad ripoff of The Hangover, and I get it, and I saw that coming. Decent matches, some bad matches overall. What are you going to do? That's AEW for you. That was a good, decent Wednesday night spent watching 2 hours of wrestling.
Yeah, I was just skimming through my notes here. My only low points in this show were the Vegas segments and the Orange Cassidy match. Other than that, it was pretty much like, a pretty decent show here.
Does Orange Cassidy even count for you anymore? Does that even count as a low point?
He's always going to be a low point.
That's what I'm saying, but you just hate it anyways, so is it really that low? Speaking of low points, let's talk Survivor Series for a few minutes here, because that is this Sunday. Survivor Series, this Sunday. Your Thanksgiving tradition. Not on Thanksgiving, not the night before Thanksgiving anymore, like when we were wee little lads there, Eric Todd, but the week previous, or the week leading up to Thanksgiving, we get this now. Monday, they threw Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton in a championship match and had Drew McIntyre win the title back already.
What was the point of putting it on Orton? Do you have any speculation on that?
I got nothing. I can't, I've come up with a good storyline for Tony Khan. I got nothing for this one.
Like, I get transitional champions, and Randy Orton at this point in his career would make a great transitional champion if they wanted to take it off Drew McIntyre and give it to someone who
wasn't Drew McIntyre to transition it.
Right. Exactly. Someone who they didn't want to beat Drew McIntyre to make him look bad. You know, Randy could have been the middleman, but they have Randy Orton beat Drew McIntyre. And what's this, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later?
Yeah, within something there.
He just hands it right back to him. So, yeah, I don't get it.
Don't get it, don't care. So this whole pay-per-view, to be honest with you, looks like a big pile of dog doo.
I haven't looked at the card yet.
Oh,
so if you
let's
want
look at the card. Let's look at the card here, Eric. First off, we get your traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. Now, those are always fun as a kid, so I'm not too mad at these. This is the way they've been doing these, though, Team Raw, Team SmackDown style. So before, it was always kind of like good guys, bad guys. You know, if it was a tag team, 2 tag teams that are beefing with the other 2 tag teams, right? And you just kind of square up 4 guys or whatever. This is Team Raw, AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Riddle, because he's not allowed to be called Matt Riddle. He has no first name. He's just Riddle. Taking on Team SmackDown, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and a TBD, still to be determined. They haven't released that yet.
God, that does sound like a flaming pile of turds.
So those are okay. I wish that there was some type of prize for a Team Raw team. I know they tried it before with that stupid cup pay-per-view they did, but I don't know. To put something on it, why am I rooting for Raw? Why am I rooting for SmackDown? Why do I give a shit?
Right, at least back in the day with the 5-on-5s of randos just crammed together, there is at least a couple beefs going on between a couple of the team members.
That's what I'm saying. But this is just guys that I'm Team Raw, I'm Team SmackDown. So then you get a women's 5-on-5 Survivor Series traditional elimination match. Team Raw, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce take on Team SmackDown, Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and 2 members to be determined, because that's probably not going to be announced till Friday, as we're doing this on the day leading up to Friday's announcement, right? So probably going to announce those on Friday. Now, those are whatever. Those are classic 5-on-5 elimination style matches, blah, blah, blah. Didn't they usually go 4-on-4? Or were they always 5-on-5?
I think it was always 5-on-5. But here's a little tidbit about Lana. Lana is Miro's wife in real world, right?
Yes.
8 weeks in a row, they have put Lana through a table.
I've
Do
seen
you
this.
think that has something to do with Miro talking and being so open about his
dislike and hatred
grievances with WWE?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Short and simple, to the point. Yes.
Yes, I couldn't elaborate on that anymore. It's 100% yes. But, she's still collecting her paycheck. Bobby Lashley. Now, this is where the pile of dog shit kicks in. Bobby Lashley, your Raw United States champion. There's not a SmackDown United States champion, mind you. Taking on Sami Zayn, SmackDown's. Oh, I see what they did there. Raw's United States champion, SmackDown's Intercontinental champion, Sami Zayn. All right. Cool. Decent look title thing going on, right?
Right.
Non-title. Okay, hold on to that theme there, Eric Todd, because the New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, the Raw Tag Team Champions, taking on the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions of the world, in a non-title tag team match. Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, taking on Sasha Banks, the SmackDown Women's Champion, in a non-title singles championship match, non-title championship match. Drew McIntyre, your new Raw WWE Champion, taking on Roman Reigns from SmackDown Universal Championship with Paul Heyman in a non-title singles match. Now, they've been doing this for a while. I remember they did it last year as well, and I didn't like it then, and I double hate it now. Partially last year because when we were doing our pool over at our buddy Jake's house, and pick the winners, and you get more for a championship and title changes. I thought I got 2 points, and I only got 1 because these weren't title matches. So my points were off. But
so I am struggling right now, Brian, to understand the point of this. All these non-title matches. Was it Survivor Series last year where they add up points for who's winning, Team Raw or Team SmackDown?
Did they do that across the whole night?
I don't know, but I want to say there was one pay-per-view that we watched,
It was some.
and basically the whole point of the pay-per-view was to see what brand was better.
Yeah, I
and
think
that
that's
is the absolute only reason I can think of to put this shit show on like this with all these non-title matches.
Yeah, just a pay-per-view full of non-title matches, so it doesn't matter who wins.
Right. Like I said, the only reason I can even think of is for bragging rights to SmackDown's better than Raw, which again, nobody cares.
That and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee. Yeah, man, when I saw they were all non-title matches and they were doing that, I was like, whack. What's it matter?
Right? Who cares?
Who cares? Like, who cares? It just doesn't matter. I just thought it was dumb. They just put the belt back on Drew McIntyre after, did he get like, maybe he had to go back to England and he didn't want to take it with, or Scotland, he didn't want to take it with him. So he's like, here, Randy, you can be the champion
for 3
weeks.
Hold on to this for a hot minute.
I don't want to travel with this thing. I don't know, man. It's wacky, but I'll watch it, and I'll come back on here and we'll talk about it. Now, we'll talk about this and plan this out here, Eric. Next Thursday, when we tape these and record these out for Friday, is Thanksgiving. Are we going to record a Thanksgiving show, or will we maybe try and squeeze one out and do a Survivor Series recap on Monday or Tuesday, or Monday or Wednesday, and put it out for Friday? Put one in the can. We can talk about this live right here on the podcast. We're probably not going to do it on Thursday, so if you like to watch, if you're waiting for these things to come out on YouTube on Thursdays, don't wait for a Thanksgiving episode. We'll probably get one done earlier in the week.
Yeah, we'll squeeze one in one of those days.
I'm thinking Wednesday.
It would have to be Wednesday on my schedule, the way my schedule's looking this week.
I'm thinking Wednesday as well. So we'll get on here and talk about just Survivor Series. We won't be touching too much onto the NXT or AEW that week. It'll just be an all Survivor Series recap, and we will dive into that next week. But this does not look exciting to me, and I don't really care too much about it. You got anything to say about it before we wrap this?
No, the only thing that can make this exciting is if we were having our wrestling get together, but I haven't seen anything in the group text, so I don't think that's happening, especially with the
state of Michigan
pandemic being at an all-time high right now. I'm not sure if we want to get a gathering of 6 or 10 of us together,
Yeah, probably not. So we'll at least watch it. Maybe we can Zoom watch it here, Eric, together. But nonetheless, I got nothing else to say on that. Make sure you guys join us all the social media platforms at Kayfabe Smark on Instagram, on Facebook, and then over on TikTok as well. Hop onto YouTube, like, subscribe, share over there, get involved. Help us, help you. Go over to audibletrials.com/thekayfabesmark. Get a free audiobook, free 30-day trial. Listen to some podcasts, listen to some books, and then head on over to anchor.fm/thekayfabesmark and send us a voicemail, send us an email. You can make a donation to the show if you would like. You can send us $1. And then please just get involved and hang out, and let's keep talking wrestling. Eric, what you got for us?
Yes, I myself am on Instagram if you want to go over there and check me out. My name on Instagram is it's Eric. That's all one word. Or if you'd like to get to know my snoozing pit bull over there, Stella, if you want to get to know her a little better, her and I are on TikTok, and our name on TikTok is stella.hates.eric.
And there you go. That is the Kayfabe Smark Podcast. Again, follow us on all those social media platforms. And just before we get out of here, Eric Todd, take us home.
I think the only thing left to say this week, Brian, is hooty hoo, we out the gates.
We out the gates.